21. And we will call this meeting to order. If you would please, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and
justice for all.
Okay. Thank you very much. I am asking now if we are compliant with the Freedom of Information Act.
Yes, sir, we are.
Thank you very much. All right, before we do the roll call, at this time, I ask your indulgence. I am currently visually impaired. Yes, that's a good way to put it. And though while things are going to get better in the future, I would like to step away as the person running the meeting and ask our vice chair, Jack Daly, if he would continue with the meeting agenda. And so, Jack, if you would go ahead, and I think the next thing is roll call, and you can get started with that.
Sure. I appreciate it, Butch. No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Daly,
Here.
Mr. Dowling. We don't have Mr. Dowling. Miss Christian,
Here.
Mr. Zarilla,
Here,
Mr. Manasotis. He's muted. He's muted. Mr. Dowling, I see you're on. Hi, okay, thank you. And Mr. Manasotis?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're taking the roll.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Kasaya?
Here.
Thank you.
All right. So we have our roll call moving right along.
let's get me.
Oh, there you are. I thought it was your golf day again.
No, they were
You're
saying
here.
the meeting host had to let you in, and then I just got in.
Okay.
I'm
Gotta
down
check.
here.
Good. All right. Okay. So approval of minutes. Now I trust everybody downloaded the agenda packet in its full and was here last month to remember all these things and note any corrections that need to be made. So I'll just assume all of that. And I will entertain a motion to approve the November minutes. Do we have a motion?
I set the motion.
All right. Okay, good. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Oops.
You're on mute, Jack.
Oh, whoops. Karen, we're at number 6, appearance by citizens.
Yes, sir. There were
All
no
right.
citizen comments on the open town hall portal, which closed today at 2:30, and no citizen signed up to speak at the meeting.
Gotcha. Okay. That's easy enough. All right. Now we move on to reports. Karen, do we have any reports other than the ones from Jennifer and Taylor that are already on the agenda?
I do not believe so.
Okay. So no report from Island Rep. All right. All right. Well, do we have any unfinished business we need to attend to?
No unfinished business, sir.
Okay. Well, it looks like we have some new business, and it looks like up first is Jennifer Ray. So, Jennifer, I'm sure you're there. Please enlighten us.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Chairman and the committee. I'm here to talk about the FY23 Capital Improvement Program. I'm going to share my screen. I just have a short presentation for you. Can you see that now? See my screen? Yeah, okay, great. I saw thumbs up. Okay, so as you probably know, it's the role of the Planning Commission to prepare the annual list of priority projects for consideration of town councils before they adopt a capital budget. And you know for sure it's the role of Parks and Rec Commission to make recommendations for the establishment of an effective Parks and Recreation system for citizens and residents of our town. Therefore, staff is seeking input from the Parks and Recreation Commission to forward to the Planning Commission CIP Committee for consideration as we prepare the FY23 capital budget. You might recall in FY22, we have projects broken into these 7 categories. There's about $31 million in capital budget this year. The parks category ended up being about 11.5 million after a budget amendment. These are the projects that were approved. I'm just going to go through these quickly and just let you know the status of each project and what I see continuing on in the next fiscal year. The Mid-Island Track Park and Redevelopment Strategy, as you know, the consultant is working on conceptual design now. I anticipate that project rolling into FY23 for detailed design and phase 1 construction. The Coligny Beach parking area facilities is working on that one now. That will be finished this fiscal year. Both Chaplin and Crossing Park redevelopment, you know, are also in conceptual design, and in the next fiscal year, we'll move into detailed design and possibly some construction. That'll be for to be determined once we see the budget for all 3 of the major parks. Shelter Cove Park expansion, you know, that's the part toward Newport to the left of the playground if you're looking at the water. So an expansion there, we anticipate we're doing the survey right now. We'll do conceptual design this year and continue into the detailed design and construction in the next year. Chaplin Linear Park has not risen up yet enough to start yet, but hopefully we'll get that started this fiscal year. And then Patterson Family Park, that's the property we own on Marshland Road. We have a CDBG grant for that. We will start design and construction this fiscal year and probably complete that in FY23. Keep in mind that the fiscal year ends June 30th. So we're already halfway through the year. We also have some approved general park enhancements. You recall making recommendations for the Jarvis Creek Park Playground surface and the Barker Field Extension Picnic Shelter. Those are 2 projects that will be completed this fiscal year. We will be starting construction on the Islanders Beach Park Overlook Pavilion in January, so that'll be completed before the season. We've identified some other improvements needed at Jarvis Creek Park and plan to design and construct those. Namely, there's some improvements to landscaping, to some of the picnic shelters. If you've been out there lately, you can see where the rain coming off the roof is really rutting out around the edges of the shelter. So we want to stabilize that, look at some of the site furnishings and just make sure everything is up to speed there. We also are going to work on Islanders Beach Park upgrades. That was a request that came through town council. So we will be doing design and a little bit of construction this fiscal year and then pause while the season happens and then finish that construction next fiscal year. Island Rec Association capital requests will be completed. The public art program this year, the construction will be part of the Shelter Cove connectivity project. That's a pathway project you might recall that's connecting Shelter Cove Community Park to the Veterans Memorial Park and then on down toward where Chaplin Linear Park will take off down by the sheriff's office. So public art will be going in as part of that project. It will be finished this fiscal year. And the Cordilla Courts restroom building, you know, we had started construction. We had some contractor problems. So we will be going back out to bid in January and we'll finish that construction shortly after the new year. So as we see from that list, there's a lot of projects, a lot of important work going on in Parks and Recreation, but a lot of work that will continue into the next fiscal year. So I don't expect many additions to the list for FY23. I think it'll be a lot of carry forward. However, I think it's good to consider our priorities. So when opportunities come up and there are funds that we know what projects you all are interested in pursuing. So I wanted to show you a couple lists and just refresh your memory. This is from the prioritized recommendations and action items from our plan from section 4.7. You all have seen this list and forwarded it on to council last year sometime. And this identified some priorities of improvements to beach parks, which our beach operations team is working on. Barker Field, we continue to keep our fingers crossed that that will be coming our way sometime and we can make improvements there. Bristol Sports Arena, you know, is being combined with the work being done at Crossings Park. So we're folding that in. Hilton Head Park or Old Schoolhouse Park is kind of on hold while the corridor plans get worked out because it would be impacted potentially during that project. Green Shell, I believe the recommendation was for a new playground or at least new playground surface there. And then some improvements at the Xeriscape Garden that's here at Town Hall. There also were facility improvements, and I'm not going to read through these. If you don't have a copy of this still, I'm happy to send it to you. A lot of these facilities are actually being incorporated into the park plans that the consultant teams are working on now. You know, pickleball, trailheads, covered overlooks, picnic pavilions, playgrounds, dog parks, fields, sand volleyball, pump track, all those things are being, disc golf, and being incorporated into plans. So these are just things, food for thought as you get ready to have a deeper discussion in January. The other thing I want to call to your attention is the strategic action plan. Town Council adopted this on Tuesday, and in it were some recommendations that do include Parks and Recreation, the Mid-Island Redevelopment Strategy and Park Master Plan. I touched on that already. Implementation of the Capital Improvement Program, which includes all those other parks. It also included 2 parks that weren't on those lists. The Ford Shell Ring, that's a county project that we are assisting with the development of. And then Northridge Track Passive Park, that's a partnership between the town, the county, and the Hilton Head Land Trust to consider the conservation easement there and create a passive park and potentially link it with Mitchellville and the Mid-Island Track and Ashmore and Chaplin, you know, just eventually get a connection of all of our parks together. So this was adopted, as I said, on Tuesday. This is the strategic action plan projects we will be pursuing over the next few years. The way the process works is I'm starting with you all today. This is the first discussion about FY23 capital improvements plan. I wanted to tee it up today and then anticipate a deeper dive in January where I will look for the commission to make some recommendations of priorities that you would like to see included for consideration. We will then take those comments to the Planning Commission CIP committee. They make a recommendation to the full Planning Commission, who make that recommendation to Town Council, with Town Council ultimately adopting their budget in June. So again, I'm not asking for anything today. I'm happy to take questions and comments, but I really just wanted to set the stage, put this, you know, kind of out on the table for you to think about over the next month, and that when we're together in January, I would ask for any feedback on what you'd like to see, especially geared toward that general park enhancements category, knowing that with Mid-Island and Chaplin and Crossings and Islander, you know, a lot of projects that will roll forward, that we will probably not take on a lot more big stuff, because that's a ton of recreation coming online, but rather look for some general park enhancements to continue to make those improvements. We will also in January have Aaron Black with us. He's our new facilities manager to talk about maintenance of our town parks and recreation facilities as he prepares the budget that's part of the general fund, the general fund budget for maintenance, and getting your all's input on that as well. So at this time, Chairman or Mr. Daly, I'd entertain any questions and comments if anybody wants to share today. Otherwise, I'll be back in January for more discussion.
Well, just one thought. So if I'm understanding you correctly, a lot of the items that in a normal year we may have as CIP improvement ideas are probably going to get, and out of caution and out of not being redundant, are going to get rolled up into the 3 big park projects. You know what I mean? Like we had conversations in the past about batting cages or, football goalposts. So it seems like it should be a kind of a thin year for individual CIP improvement pieces, because we're already going to lay out a bunch of money and roll out 3 new parks. And a lot of that would probably be captured in those. Am I kind of understanding?
Exactly.
Where we
That's
are?
exactly right. That there are a lot of the facilities that didn't really have a home, such as fix the playground at Jarvis Creek Park. If it was just like you mentioned, batting cages, well, that will get folded into the plans for crossings with improved baseball fields there. So a lot of the work of those individual facilities will find a home as part of the master planning for those 3 big parks.
Well, one specific item that I believe came up in CIP 2 years ago, but it may have been captured under a CDBG situation at the rowing center was, Mr. Green, who helps children fish. I've seen him at least appear once talking about how incredibly hot it is out there on the dock. And he was wondering if, as part of some future project or some future work, that some kind of a dock roof could be built. So when he's out there with kids in the summer, they're just not burning up in the beating sun, or not using some umbrellas that obviously will get blown into the marsh by the sea breeze. The work there at the Sailing Rowing Center, that was under a CDBG, correct? That wasn't under a capital improvement, or does that really make any difference at all?
Well, CDBG grant funds are a way to fund capital projects. So it is
Gotcha.
a capital project. That's just one of the many funding sources we use. The initial construction of that park was not done with CDBG funds, but last year we added playground equipment, because originally there was just the tire swing. We added those climbing rocks and things last year with CDBG funds. I do believe, and expanded the parking there. I do believe we have some funds through CDBG that could be dedicated. We've had a conversation about that dot before, so thank you for bringing that back up. I'll have to look and see if we have any estimates and see if that's something we can do now, but we can certainly put it on the list for a future consideration.
Okay, if we could, I would appreciate it, because it's come up before.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want. If we just have this list of things, so that when we do have funds, if we do find that in the next year we have enough funds and time to address more than those big projects that we've already talked about, then we'll know what the priority of the community is moving forward.
Okay. So any other commissioners have questions or any thoughts about particular items that need to be addressed?
Have Karen take the roll. Go through the roll.
That is a good idea.
There you go.
All right, Karen?
Yes, sir. Mr. Dowling,
No comments. I look forward to January and talking more about it.
Ms. Christian,
No comments at this time. Thanks.
Mr. Zarilla,
I would just ask, what a good approach to prepare. There's quite a lot of things going on, quite a few moving parts. And if we're going to make some recommendations, is there somewhere we could, kind of condense some things, or just drive the conversation at the next meeting, so that we could kind of methodically pursue some of these things and see what's a priority and what isn't?
So just a consolidated document, you mean, for the commissioner's use?
Yeah.
Well, I can provide this PowerPoint to you. It's a PDF, or I could take all the projects that I just have and list them out for you. Maybe that would be helpful to have this year's approved list and then the priorities that have been discussed previously.
Yeah, that and well, maybe a status report on this year's priorities, because I think your conversation was good, but I really would need to go back and refresh myself. I'd like to be able to say, oh, this is finished and they're going to be finished, or just because there's always trade-offs you have to make, and it'd be interesting, just to get up to speed as to what the status is, and what are competing projects maybe.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. I'll also point y'all out to the website and the CIP dashboard. I know Taylor reviewed that briefly with you at your last meeting. When you go into there, you can sort by parks, and each project has a status on there that we will update again here at the end of this month, because it'll be the end of the second quarter of the fiscal year. So you can actually do a deeper dive and see the status of each of those at any point, through that dashboard as well.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Manasotas? Okay, Mr. Kasaya?
Yes. Jennifer, is there a minimum dollar amount that puts a project into the CIP as opposed to would be in the operating budget?
There is, and that is a really good question. And I, as the capital program manager, should definitely know that.
Oops, sorry, didn't mean to.
I think it's 50,000 because I have projects in here that are 100. So it's probably, if it's 50 or lower, it's in general fund. And if it gets higher, it goes to capital.
Okay. One suggestion would be, and maybe the enhancement program is what this is, but some kind of small capital projects fund that would replace park amenities, benches and tables and that sort of thing. I don't know if we have anything like that, but that'd be something to maybe think about if we don't. The other comment I would have is I'm happy to hear that our part of this is going to be for the public art coming on the trail. I think that's a sometimes overlooked component of a true spectrum of park and recreation opportunities, and so I'm just happy to see that that's gonna happen. So good work, and look forward to January.
Thank you. I'll just clarify too, before we move on, the general park enhancements category is kind of that catch-all. We usually have some projects identified, such as the Jarvis Creek Park Playground surface, but that's also where if we do identify the need for new trash cans, benches, bike racks, any of those site furnishings, shade, landscape cleanup at parks, any of that. I know our new facilities manager, Aaron, we've been visiting a lot of the parks and noticing how many different styles of trash cans there are. Even at one park, there are green ones, there are brown ones, there's a metal one with a plastic one next to it, and all within the same park. And so some of that consistency is important from a aesthetic standpoint, but also from a maintenance standpoint, because if they can have one trash can that everyone knows how to replace, it takes the same kind of liners, they can order the same replacement parts, it simplifies. And when you make maintenance simpler, it's more effective and easy, more likely to happen. So that's definitely that category.
Okay.
And public art is a recurring project that last year they moved it into CIP into the parks category. There's $25,000 every year for that. And this year, actually, that project, I can't wait for that to be finished and y'all to come out and see, because there's a whole corridor, a whole art corridor as part of that Shelter Cove project. So from the Veterans Memorial down toward the sheriff's station, we'll have a series of art installations along there. So that we're trying to incorporate per our plan art into all of the parks and facilities. That was one of your all's and that Parks and Recreation task group's recommendation.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, thank you, Jennifer. And looks like we're at part B. Taylor Ladd has a work plan laid out for us. So Taylor?
Yeah, hey there. Good to see everybody. And let's see, I'm pretty excited about this for the Parks and Rec Commission. I think this is kind of a new step forward for you guys. And just want you to know that today I do need from you guys a vote to approve this work plan for next year. You guys got a copy of it in your packet, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but just to note a couple of things first, that this is subject to change based on any pressing business that may come to light that we are unaware of at this time. And then, of course, we don't know yet the timing for when you guys will be reviewing the park concept plans that we're working on at this time. So we will work that into a regular meeting if the timing is right, or at least to anticipate that you guys may have a couple of workshops to handle reviewing those plans, similar to how we did the kickoff meetings back in August. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or take any feedback. Thanks.
Okay. Well, like we did before, Karen, if we could just call roll and we'll ask our questions and we'll learn.
Mr. Dowling,
This is on those documents that you sent out, that Karen sent out on the email.
Yes, sir. That's the work plan. That's the calendar planned out for next year, what you guys will be looking at in each of your meetings.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
If
sir.
you can come back to me, I'm just going to look at it again.
Okay.
okay, Ms. Christian,
Nope, it looks good. It looks like we've got a heavy load of work ahead of us, but I'm excited.
okay, Mr. Zarella,
I'm fine. I think it's best taken month by month, and I'm looking forward to it.
okay, thank you, Mr. Minnesotas. Guess we've lost him somehow. Mr. Daly,
Yes, I've got a couple questions here.
Sure.
All right, so it looks like before we take our summer break,
Mhm.
we will have discussed, rehashed, taken input, and come together with some sort of a plan for the purpose and elements of the three parks, the three main parks that we're discussing. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We do anticipate before you go on summer recess that you will have provided a recommendation to town council for those concept plans for each of the big three park projects. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's our goal before summer, and I would like to think if obviously if for whatever unforeseen reason we are not there at that point, that we continue through summer. You know, I mean, it's a job is a job. You know, we need to do this. We need to get our recommendations there, and I take this stuff seriously, and I read everything, and I ride around and look at the parks, and and like to provide thought, even if it's redundant. I like to provide it. So I'm looking at the timeline and the work plan, and so at what point and do we start providing input? And is that input captured by the people who will be drawing the plans, or do they come up with something first conceptually from the consultants and they say, we think you need 3 cricket fields here, and it comes to us as kind of started drawing, and then we comment on it and modify it from there? How will this get hashed out?
So the kickoff meetings you guys had in August was your first opportunity to give kind of a weighed-in look at the park spaces. If you recall, our consultants looked at the parks with you guys, talked about existing conditions, and then the proposed programming that came out of the recommendations from all of the public engagement we did last year, and what was in the Parks and Rec master plan and as well as in our plan. So you guys looked at all that prior to this. Of course, since then, we've been continuing with stakeholder input and also input from town council, because of course they had a kickoff meeting as well. So that is kind of helping direct the work that our consultants are doing right now to do the initial concept plans. So what will happen is you guys, as a recommending body, you will get a look at the plans at some point in the process, and you will be able to give input, and so will the public. I believe the way that we have this working out is town council will look at the initial concept plans first, and they'll have an opportunity to give feedback. And then once we get kind of public input and things like that, then you guys will have all of those recommendations that town council has given, as well as the public, to look at these things with, so you can kind of, look at it all together. And then our consultants will take all of that feedback from you guys, as well as everyone else, to kind of configure the final look of those projects. You guys will make a recommendation about those park plans for town council to consider when they are putting together their approval for them.
Okay, so we provided input, and currently we can say currently, as we are sitting here, there is somebody at Whitmer Jones or elsewhere drawing up based on input, drawing something up.
Yes.
Probably,
Yes.
hopefully drawing up more than one version of each thing in case there's some real stinkers, some plans are better than others. So
Yep,
so
there-
currently
yeah.
people are
That's
crafting
exactly
up
right.
these plans.
Uh-huh.
They haven't seen them yet. They've heard our input.
Mhm.
And then they've also heard input from council, and I'm sure staff as well, and the consultants. And so those plans will be previewed to council first, and then it will come to us for approval and input, or input and approval, I hope,
Recommendation,
And-
actually.
recommendation.
Yes, sir.
And that's our process.
Mhm.
Okay, so when would we
At this time, it
anticipate?
could change.
Okay,
Based on, other
so
things.
between now and summer, when should we'll just pick apart. Let's pick Mid-Island track. I imagine they're all being staged at the same time. I would like to think so, that one is not preceding the other, but because they do kind of work systematically, I hope. But so we should see plans for Mid-Island track in March, April, somewhere in there.
I believe that what we are targeting is hopefully February for the
good,
first round of concepts to be made public. And again, that will start with town council. They'll probably have a workshop to look at the plans and give feedback. And then we will work you guys into the process after that. So yes, but you guys and the public and town council will have plenty and ample opportunity to weigh in on those first concepts, which of course will be very conceptual in nature. But we don't want to get too far down to where we're drawing hard lines on things without getting input and having the ability to make adjustments as needed based on feedback from everybody.
Gotcha. So we will see them when the first concept plans go public. That's when we will see them.
Yeah, I don't know yet if you guys will as a commission, but the public will. So
The public will see them.
Yes, sir.
And then our regular
made
meetings will
public.
pick up that conversation, and then have, I imagine, besides just our meetings, are we having a separate workshop with council, just Parks and Rec and council, or are we drawing in different people from different sports groups to provide input on whatever has been drawn, or what kind of other, once we have these preliminary drawings out, what are the opportunities for input, I guess is what I'm asking, from both the
Well,
commission and from stakeholders.
Right. We don't have that completely mapped out for certain, like how it'll look at this point in time. But as we do anticipate that we certainly will bring all of the stakeholder groups back together that we had initially from the kickoff we did back in August, and kind of get their reactions and feedback. So that'll all be part of the process, as well as giving opportunities, whether it's through open park days, public open houses, comments online, things like that, where the citizens and the community members can take a look at the plans and give feedback. So I don't know exactly kind of what the timeline will be on that process, but it will be, that'll be kind of part of how it all works.
Gotcha. And this plan could be interrupted by news that we now have bark runner inventory, or any other kind of, or part of a park got washed away. Anything could happen.
Yes.
It's not a done deal yet. So, okay, well, it looks good. And we need to do it. We have a job to do. We have to meet our deficiencies that have been well noted, and we have to be creative, and we have to be flexible with each other, and not just be a place that says no to active recreation. So I look forward to the process.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Daly.
Mr. Dowling, are you ready or?
Yep.
Okay,
That
thank
looks
you,
good to
Fred.
me. No questions on it.
Thank you, Mr. Dowling.
Thank you, Mr. Kasaya.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I think to kind of go back to Jack's comments, it's going to be real important. I don't know if we can get every sports or interest group together to talk about it. So it's going to be very important for those groups to understand that I think their best opportunity to make comment is going to be during those public periods in which the public is being asked to make comments. And then I would also say that those groups should not only make the comments there, but should in some way get those comments to the commission. So we make sure that we have those in front of us as we're looking at the plans also. As far as the calendar goes, I like the calendar. I just wanted to make sure all the commissioners were okay with the summer recess. That's something new. And I'm thinking everybody's really busy during the summer. That was the idea there. And that I think Taylor made the correct point in that, we may have to add meetings, or we may have to have workshops or whatever, and we just need to be flexible with that time, knowing that as things come before us, we need to be ready to address them. So other than that, that's all the comments I have.
Thank you. All right, you guys, I just need a vote to approve your work plan for 2022, and then we can keep going. Thanks.
Okay, so commission, do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay, thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all right. Well, there we go. Well, thank you, Taylor. Now it has you right up again, right here for park updates. So if you could,
we need to vote on it. We have a
Yep.
motion.
oh, we need to
We gotta
vote.
vote.
Yes, you're correct. We do need to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Butch.
Thank you.
I'm here.
Yes. All right. So Taylor, park updates.
Sure. Well, actually, Jennifer Ray gave you guys probably all of she kind of stole my thunder on all of the park updates. So I don't really have anything to add. Just if you guys have any questions about some of the current projects we have right now that we haven't already discussed, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions? Okay.
Okay.
Well, all right. Well, thank you, Taylor.
Sure
I
thing.
guess Karen, now we will do a roll call for park commissioner comments to see if anyone has any last comments here, last questions. So
Certainly.
Karen, if you could, please.
Mr. Dowling?
No comments, just except that you're going to email out Jennifer that presentation slide you had so we can see that again.
Yes, sir, I will.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Christian?
No comments other than I want to thank the staff for all their hard work this past year and getting us lined up for a busy season ahead. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Zarilla?
No comments other than, I support having the summer off, but as Jack says, if we need to do some work and do something like that, I'm all in. We should make sure we accomplish something by the end of the summer. So I'm all for that. Thanks.
Mr. Daly?
Yes, a few comments just for the commission. All of you know, we haven't done a Parks and Rec master plan since 1995. And I'm not really sure when the next one will be scheduled. I doubt it would be quite that long. But, and we have 6 months on our little schedule here. And we have a lot of work to do. And we have a lot of clearly noted deficiencies, right? Across the board. So many items have been deferred since 1995. So we have a lot of work to do. And the biggest job is to address those deficiencies, right? And that's going to take some creativity. It's going to take input from us, from stakeholders, from council. And it's going to take a little nerve, honestly. You know, there's many good reasons to say, I don't want something in my backyard or that park near me. Yeah, I want to be that big empty thing, you know. That's everywhere. That's everywhere. And there's a lot of push and pull. Not in my ward. Let's put that in your ward. Let's put that in their ward. They're not here. So we have to rise above that, commission. We have to do our job. We have to address our deficiencies. And it's going to take not just creativity, but just some nerve to say, these are the things that we have deferred for so long. We're not going to defer them any further. And where can we fit this in? And we're going to have to meet those needs, and we're going to have to be serious and honest about it, because this process won't come around for another long time. So sometimes it's easy to say, I don't want it, you don't want it, let it fall through and forget about it, and let's move on to the next thing. I really don't want to do that. We've done that for far too long with Parks and Rec. So guys, please, you know, let's do a good job the next 6 months, get this hammered out, and we'll set ourselves and our island for another, 15 years or so of success, and really do some good things that have needed to be done for a long time. So guys, please, let's be serious about this, and let's do what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Manasotis?
No comment at this time, other than I'm looking forward to face-to-face meetings versus virtual meetings.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Mr. Kasai?
Well, one, I want to echo Kristen's comments about staff. I appreciate everything that you folks have done. It's we've come a long way in the last couple of years in getting Parks and Recreation not only a good look, but also out in front with council and getting the attention of our leadership to make these improvements that we're beginning to really take a strong look at. So I think that I'm looking forward to seeing what the consultants are going to come back with those initial park plans, and for us to be able to take a look at it. And besides that, I hope that that the entire commission has a wonderful holiday season, and I look forward to hopefully we're going to be meeting in person, Mark, in January. Thank you very much. That's all I've got.
Jack, can I jump in?
Sure.
Just for the record, because I know there's public on here watching that may not understand what you were just explaining about the town doing a master plan and deficiencies. While the Parks and Recreation open space plan was written in 1995, there was updates to that done every time the comprehensive plan was prepared. So town council directed staff to add a recreation element to our comprehensive plan. That's not required, but that's the way that between that first master plan and the one that we just adopted last year, that's how recreation was counted, how it was prioritized, how those analyses were done. So it wasn't, I don't want the community to think that we went for 30 plus years with no thoughts on recreation, no analysis of it, no spending on it. There was a lot of improvements that were made. And if anybody's questioning what the deficits are, that's clearly outlined in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, because there weren't 30 years worth of deficits that we're all of a sudden trying to make up now. I think you're hitting the nail on the head if you want to push that being open to what the community asked for and what the consultants are going to recommend. But I think it's misleading to say we haven't done any planning or that we've been deficient for 30 plus years, because that's not accurate.
No, you are correct. And thank you for that clarification. We have deficiencies in it, and it has been a while. We've been updated in pieces, but yes, you are correct. And And deficiencies may be new, or obviously are newer than that, but they still, yes, I want to make sure we address them while we have a good chance and having a big summit meeting about it. So,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Karen, is that the entire roll call?
Yes, it is, sir.
Okay, well then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right. Hey, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, y'all have a
Thank you, Jack.
great holiday season. We will see you all. We'll see each other hopefully in person in January. Good.
Well, so I'll give you guys plenty of notice about the meeting in January and where
Good
it'll be
deal.
held. So thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank you, guys.
Happy
Take care.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.